Okay, hi everybody. How are you? If you are just joining me, I had to switch Hangout, so I need everybody just to refresh your screen to make sure that it's all coming in. Okay. I want to make sure everybody's seeing it. Just give everybody a few minutes to join. Awesome. I'm going to let everybody know in the comments to make sure you refresh so you can see me. Oh, tech, sometimes you gotta go with the flow. But thank you so much. Give me a hi if you can see me so I know we're all good and we can get going and get with the information that I'd love to share with you guys. So let me know when you can see me. Hi, guys. West Coast, Washington State. That is right. That's where I'm from. Oh, Darian's in Italy. Florence, I am so jealous. Oh my goodness. Eat some good pasta for me today. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Hillary, hey. Okay, good. You're seeing me. That's awesome. So happy you guys are joining me today on a Tuesday. And it looks like here in California, it's getting a little cloudy. We've had some rain and stuff going on, but nothing like the Northwest and parts of the Midwest that are getting so much snow, right? Well, I'm going to be looking down at my phone every once in a while to see what you guys are commenting. I welcome participation because we're all in this together. You know, it's a new digital world that we're working through. And so we're all in this together. I'm so glad that you're joining us. Hey, Darian. Okay, awesome. I just was telling you, please eat some good pasta. I'm so jealous that you're in Florence, Italy right now. Amazing, amazing. So I know it's already 1:08, so started, but I'd love for you guys to comment along the way. I want all the input and everything. We can help each other out in this digital world. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And we're going to go through some different tips and different slides that I've created just from my experience with working with teenagers and parents for the past 16 years now. So let me know if at any point you can't see what I am doing, because we want to make sure that the tech is working great. So we're going to be talking about digital well-being for our kids for the next 40 or so minutes. If you have questions along the way, please feel free to comment in that comment box below, ask a question or make a comment about something you've experienced. I would love the input. This is me talking to teenagers. It's what I do on a weekly basis. I'm on campuses at least twice a week, talking about mental health for teens, anti-bullying, pro-kindness, respecting ourselves and all of that great stuff. And obviously digital well-being for our kids in this digital world that they're living in and that we're navigating. It's really personal to me because these are my kids. This is Cameron. He just turned 18 recently, senior in high school. So we're in the thick of it. And then Skylin is my girl on the left. She's almost 7. Ashton is almost 9. And then little Evie Drew, Evany Drew, she's our little baby. So, we basically just decided we'd have a 2-year-old because we got to get it right, learn from our mistakes with our 18-year-olds. And then by the time Evie's 18, hopefully we'll figure this digital world out, right? No, I'm just kidding. But the truth is that I have had lots of experiences with all of my kids, really, of the tech world, just at different levels. My 18-year-old, when he was in about 8th grade, I'm going to come back here. When he was about in 8th grade, we had an experience with Xbox Live. It was all really new, all of the communities and gaming and things like that. So we kind of learned the hard way. He had given out his phone number to a community that he was gaming with, and they started a group chat to know when they would go on or not. We didn't know that he was giving his phone number out to strangers. And we saw his text messages, and repeatedly the same stranger that he was gaming with was telling him, like, if we said, hey, time to get off, the stranger would say, hey, why don't you tell your parents this and tell them that. And finally it got to the point where he was like, you should kill your parents. And, this was a time that there were news stories where there was influences coming out from Xbox Live and things like that that were getting to that level. So we knew we had to do something. We had to intervene. We had to dive deeper into all of this. And I was working with teens already. I was doing different events where people would ask me, like, what do you think the impact of social media is going to be on our teens? And at the time, I'm like, I don't know. Like, this Instagram hadn't even, okay, it was new then. It was brand new. It was really just where we like posted pictures for our friends, and that was about it. But so this is why I've made this my life mission. So that's a little bit about me. I'm in this with you. We're in this together. And I hope some of these tips and tools will help. So I'm going to go back to the screen here. Look at my little Evie Drew again. There is a little bit of a delay. So if I come back to some of your questions along the way, that's why. So this is the current mental health of our teens. It's not great, friends. It's not great. And this is really in the last 10 years that we've seen this. 1 in 3 teens are being cyberbullied, and for a lot of teens, it's taking them to depression and worse. Self-harm is up. About 1 in 4 girls are being treated for self-harm in hospitals. That's what's being reported right now. Digital peer pressure, 1 in 5 teens have sexted or posted nudes. And this is a lot of negative peer pressure that's happening is coming from just the feeling of, you see your friends posting things, they're getting lots of likes. And so you kind of push boundaries because you want to get a lot of likes, and people are telling you this is what you need to do to get likes. So it's not, the bad kid or the good kid. There's no like stereotype of what kind of kid is getting involved in these activities. It's every kid is feeling these kind of pressures. Teen suicide is up 200% in the last 10 years. And this is super sad. It's ages 10 to 14 is a statistic, and especially in girls. So just saying this to say, like, this is a serious mental health issue, and us as parents have the opportunity to take the bull by the horns and do something about it. Teenagers reach out to me all the time on direct messaging. This is one of the things that I want to make aware of to parents, is that they feel like they can say more online, and that usually is not a great thing. Even when teens reach out to me, I direct them to who's your parent, who's your counselor, who's a face-to-face relationship. So I get texts all the time and DMs all the time from teens that are like, hey, my school is going through this. My friend is going through this. They're realizing that there's a negative impact, but they feel like, what do I even do? And they don't want you to take away the phones, and they don't want you to change their world. But at the same time, they're hurting. And so this was a direct message I got from a student who's out here in Southern California, and they had 4 suicides in the first month of school this year. And so basically she just felt desperate, saying, the police are saying that this could be linked to social media. Like, can you please get the word out? And so it's because of people like this that I am trying to raise awareness and hopefully give some tools to help with the mental health of our students. The I generation, which is kids that are born 1995 and older, obviously still in the teen range. We're not necessarily the I generation. They're experiencing more loneliness and depression, yet connected to the entire world. Often students will spend most of their time in their phones, in their rooms, or online in communities, or gaming with people all over the world. And some parents say, well, my child doesn't really interact well face-to-face, so I'm glad that they have that outlet. And I hear you. I get that's a concern for people. And a little bit of gaming with healthy parameters with people they know isn't necessarily bad, right? It's all in moderation. But if it's taking the place of face-to-face relationships that we need, that science says we need touch to be healthy, then that's when it's an issue and a concern. So I'm going to do a pop quiz for us. All right. Let's do a pop quiz, parent pop quiz. Let's see who can answer this first. And you know what? I'm going to do a $10 Starbucks card for whoever, and please don't Google it. Be honest. $10 Starbucks card for whoever. And again, it's a delay, so I'm going to have to wait a few minutes, but who can answer this? What is a spam account? What is a spam account? What do you think it means? What is a spam account? Excuse me, getting over a little bit of a cold. Ooh, we have an answer. Okay, spam account is a fake account created to sell something or create more followers. Natalie, thank you for your answer. Not quite, but thank you for answering. I will still send you a Starbucks card because I appreciate you answering. So it is an account that students use. This is what they call a spam or Finsta. Now you're like, oh, Finsta, I've heard of Finsta, but they're calling it spam account now. So we have to stay up on the lingo, right? So a spam account is when students are using accounts that are private. So usually they'll have like a public account and then a private account, and then they'll like change their name. And usually their parents don't know that they have that account. And this is where they're posting anything and everything. They're posting their parties, they're posting test scores, or like if they're bragging about test scores at some of the prep schools and things like that. They're posting SAT scores, they're posting who their best friends are. They're pouring out their hearts. If they're having a bad day, they're pouring it out there. And if you ask a teenager about their spam account, they'll say that it's good that they have a spam account. This is where I have insights because I have teens so much. So I'm giving you the scoop today. They'll say that it's good to have a spam account because they feel like it's private and it's just for their like inner circle. And then they have the public one, they put out all the stuff. I would argue that it's not a great idea because one, screenshots always exist. Two, video, now you can like record video, right? And then those things can be shared. Three, there have been many, many cases where spam accounts have been hacked and all the information's gotten out to the whole school. So those are just like the cyberbullying side of things. The other side is that I believe that all teenagers should have private accounts. I also believe that all teenagers should be open with their accounts with their parents, right? Or their guardians. And spam accounts usually don't include parents and guardians. And so they're being in one sense secretive or like just having another kind of side of their life that their parents aren't aware of. And then I would say the other thing is that it's not great that they're going to Instagram to pour out their hearts, where you don't really know if that person, who they're sharing with is trusted or will give healthy advice, even if they know them. Even reactions are different. You know how you can like misunderstand text messages? Well, you can misunderstand posts, you can misunderstand comments and all of that. So that's kind of a little more about it. I'm seeing a question come in. What about if parents has access to their kids' spam accounts? Do you feel that is fine? I think that that would just be like a private account. And I think that's good. I think that all of their accounts, say they're under 17 or say under 16, all accounts should be private. And then if their parents have access, that's great. Or at least like know what's going on in it. Having like a public and a private, I would say the only reason why I'd have a public and a private is if they're wanting to use it for an ambition, which I think is like the beauty of social media. If they are an artist, if they're a musician, if they're aspiring to do something, or an advocate, or like putting out good for the public and then having a spam account, but their parents are aware, I say that's fine. But obviously case by case. You guys are the parents, by the way. Take these tips and tools and apply them how you feel works for your family, because you know best. All right, you want another question? I'm going to give out another Starbucks card. Let's see here. What's my next question? It is, what does it mean to slide into the DMs? What does it mean to slide into the DMs? What does it mean to slide into the DMs? I have to give it a second because of the lag. This one's always a fun one to see what people think. Bonus points if you get it right. Okay, Natalie again. I love that you are answering. You really want that Starbucks card, don't you? I could have a Starbucks right now. That'd be great. Sliding to the DMs is sending a direct message to someone to hit on them. Yes, you got it right. You got it right, Natalie. You are right. Sliding into the DMs is like calling for a hookup, or you're hot, or you're cute, or, and so another reason why our students should have private, I almost said a spam account, but private accounts. What is a snap streak? What is a snap streak? Hillary, do you know what a snap streak is? Now I'm calling on people. Sorry, don't want to call you out. Does anyone want to answer? Oh, Natalie again. Ooh, good guess. Natalie says just guessing, but posting a nude Snapchat. No. But yeah, I get why you would say that. Snap streak. Oh no, that could get crazy. So a snap streak is when somebody sends, let's see, I'm getting another one here. Yep, exactly, Darian. You're great. A consecutive string of snaps that you send back and forth with someone without breaking the run. Yep, absolutely. You get a Starbucks card. Or actually probably having really, really yummy coffee in Italy, right? So Starbucks is probably not as yummy, but anyway, snap streak is when you send a picture to the same person within a 24-hour range, and then you do it consecutively. And so you can, they call it breaking the snap streak if you don't do it within a time frame, and it's only with one individual. So like sometimes our kids will be sharing snap streaks for like days and days and days and days. And if they break it, then they're devastated, or the other person's mad at them, and it can cause drama. It's like this big thing. So when I'm with teenagers, I'm always asking, okay, no shame. This is what I do. Like no shame, but like who thinks that they have the biggest snap streak? And without a doubt, every time people are in the hundreds, like hundreds. And I even know teens that have said that they'll like have other people log on their accounts when they're out of town if they're not going to get service, and then like keep it up for them, which is not a great idea to give other people power to your account. So there's just this thing going on. It like can create the addiction side of it, having to like pick it up, having to like, can you imagine just having a snap streak? Just maintaining one is stressful to me. And then maintaining like what they have 30 friends on there, and they're trying to do snap streaks with 30 people at certain times. And I mean, it's a lot, right? It's a lot to handle. And it can cause that like anxiety feeling, that anxious feeling. So the I generation that's born after 1995, there are not enough mental health professionals on every campus. So a lot of schools don't have a budget here in the US to have mental health professionals every day. And with the mental health of our teens on the decline, we see why it's so important to have them there. And that's why we as parents have to really take the lead to educate our teens on mental health while they're living in the digital world. The digital talk, and I do these on these little tips on my socials. If you guys want to follow me at Let's Talk Teens, mainly on Instagram. And then there's a Facebook group as well, /Let's Talk Teens, if you'd like to join me there as well. So the digital boundaries talk is like the sex talk, super uncomfortable, but it has to happen. All of these talks that we have to have with our kids, the sex talks, the character talks, the kindness talks, all of those life lessons, things that we do in the quote unquote real world have to be translated into the digital world now in 2019. They all are the real world. There's no disconnect. Right now, there's a huge disconnect between real life and digital life, and it's all real life. And so that's what I do when I go on campuses, when I talk to teens, is helping them to understand that the impact that they are having on others and that the digital world is having on them impacts their everyday lives, and it's all real life. So it's super important to maintain that authenticity. So today, in a few minutes, we are going to, or for a few minutes, we're going to be talking through these things. And again, I love the interaction. It makes me so happy. It makes me feel like I'm not just talking into a mic out here. So please ask any questions, participate, answer any questions you see coming through in the feed below. And let's talk through some of these things. The first thing we're going to talk about are apps. So we only have a few minutes, so I'm going to talk about Snapchat, which is the heavy hitter, but you can translate this into all the apps. A lot of them have the same kind of impact and the same kind of challenges. A lot of parents I hear all the time say Snapchat is a teen thing. I just let them do their thing. And let it be, like, who wants to bother with snap streaks? I get it. I don't participate on Snapchat as a consumer because it's just too much for me, but I am on it because our teens are on it. And so if your teen is on their social media app, then you should also be on that app. If you decide that that's okay for your child. You don't have to keep up your snap streak with your BFF, but know how they're using it and how they could be impacted. So here's just a few things about Snapchat that we should be aware of. Snapstreak creates phone addiction and unnecessary drama. Teens use the app to communicate, making it easier to be more secretive. If you're seeing less text messaging on your child's devices, it's because they're not really using text messaging as much anymore. They're using these different apps. Snapchat, they just I literally see them taking pictures of the floor and then writing on it and sending it to their friends. So also Kick Messenger, which, by the way, I have to tell you, I'm really not trying to freak you out, but a news story just came out recently that Kick Messenger is being used for more for sex trafficking. So getting to our kids. There's a lot of apps out there that are, I would call them dating apps for our kids, where they're very provocative and they're to meet strangers and stuff. So just to be aware. If you have any questions that you don't want to put in the feed that's specific to your child, or you just have a big question mark over something that I'm throwing out there, please email me. It's hello@letstalkteens.com. Anytime, just email me, and I'd love to help you with any challenge that's specific to your family and your child. Another thing to know is the Discover feature has graphic and harmful content. The Discover feature is basically the news feed that they just throw out there. And I recently signed up for a new account just to see what would come up right away. And without the algorithms discovering who I am or anything or what I like, these are the first few screens that came up. So I'm just kind of letting you look at these real quick. And then obviously when you click on them, then you're going to dive deeper into this content. When I was scrolling through, there's also lots of news channels that are using Snapchat. You can see one up there in the upper right. And a lot of the news feeds were school shootings, were things. I mean, that honestly, I'm telling you the truth. When I started looking through this newsfeed, I felt so anxious and uncomfortable. And I think our students feel that response, but then they become desensitized to it because their friends are on it. They may feel silly for feeling that way, may just want to, maybe even like the mystery and the adrenaline of like, ooh, what is this? You know, so it's something that they push through. So we need to be aware, not just on Snapchat, but on all the apps that are being exposed to adult content and then some, even stuff as an adult that makes me feel uncomfortable. Snap map and geotags create insecurities, fear of missing out, and stranger danger. So this is a snap map if you haven't seen it before. I love that comment. No, Snapchat's the worst. Oh my gosh, it's a challenge for sure. So here is a snap map. So I'm that little thing in LA, that little ghost head emoji. That's me here in LA. And these are just, if I had a bunch of friends that I followed, they'd be all over the map when I look on it. So can you imagine? Do you remember when you were in high school and you missed the party, but you didn't know it? You came back to school on Monday, you heard about it, you felt bummed, but you didn't like watch the party unfold at home while you like sat in your room watching Netflix, you know, like, and got all the notifications that your friends are like partying without you. On SnapMap, everyone that you are Snapchat friends with will pop up when you go to this map. And so you see if like all the people you follow are in one spot and you're over at home, that does not feel great for anybody. And for a teenager, that can feel like major rejection and major pain. And it's really anything like that. Also, there's safety concerns in this, right? So not only can you see what people are doing, people can see you. And teenagers are classic to say that, you know, they're always saying, well, it's not that like a stranger can see me because I know everybody that's on Snapchat because you have to approve it. Well, I also know, and I just saw this recently, I saw recently on an Insta story on Instagram, which was public to anyone. Somebody asked somebody else what their Snapchat name was, and they put it out there. They said, it's this. So then anyone could find it. And then, yes, they have to approve it, but usually teenagers aren't feeling, they don't understand boundaries yet, especially in the digital world. So they'll approve pretty much anyone that comes along. So then that person can see where your child is at all times. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see where it says ghost mode. If you click that, then you become invisible and people can't see where you are, but you can still see where other people are. So that's something to know. Let me know if you have questions on that. Any questions about Snapchat? And then lastly, filters create an unhealthy self-image. This goes across all of the picture posting apps. You know, there's people getting plastic surgery because they want to look like a filter. It's hard enough to be a high schooler and being compared to everyone at school, and you're trying to find yourself, and then now you have to compare yourself to all the Kardashians who they filter or whatever, like anyone out there that's filtering. It's hard. It makes it really hard. And we can all relate because we feel it too when we're on social media. So imagine how you're feeling and then times it by 100 for a teenager that's going through the whole self-identity phase of their lives. Just a quick tip about Instagram, and Instagram right now too is, according to studies, is the top leader in impacting our child's mental health. So please let me know if you have any questions about Instagram, but I did want to show you that you can set up filters on this. What I want to say about some of the language that I use, safety nets, I say that all the time. Boundaries, I say that all the time. And education, so important, so important. It starts with education. When I say safety nets, I'm meaning the tools that you can use. I always say set up 3 because none of them within the tech world are going to be perfect. So if one fails or if has a hole in it, then another one will catch you and another one will catch you. And I do want to shout out to web safety because Darian is on, and I actually shouted out to it, mentioned it in the earlier webinar as well, because it's a great tool for you guys to use. Web safety, a safety net on the list. And then I'm going to go through some other ideas as well. So that's what I'm meaning about safety nets and boundaries. So let's talk more about all of this. Let me know if you have thoughts and questions along the way. So we're going to talk what I believe is the most important. This is kind of what makes me maybe a little bit different in the whole scheme of who's out there talking about this stuff. I really focus, because I'm on my background and working with teenagers specifically, on the mental health and the emotional health side of digital well-being. That's why I call it digital well-being, because it's taking a toll on our teens, and I'm seeing it every day when I'm with them, seeing it in my family, and I'm seeing it in myself, right? So I take breaks from the digital world as well. So let's talk about emotional health. This is from a teen that I was asking about her spam accounts and like what was going on in her digital life and her friends' lives. She said, I have like 3 friends who have eating disorders because they want to look like people on social media. And then she said, we say if I looked like that, I'd be so vain. Or if I were at that party, I would have made it so much more fun. We see people posting their grades and feel like we are stupid. Everyone talks about it in a joking way, but we know it hurts. So that's the perspective from a teen. We're in the midst of an uncontrolled experiment on the next generation of children. That's not okay to me. There was a great piece, if you saw it, say yes or say no, either way, if you didn't see it. But there was a piece that was done on 2020 by Anderson Cooper, and in my live presentations, I like to show it. So I will link to it when I send out the replay to everybody. It is such a great piece with lots of studies. And this quote comes from that. And I don't know about you, but I don't want my kids to be an experiment. I don't want to just give them a phone and say, let's just see if it impacts their mental health, their emotional well-being. I want to make sure that my kids stay the strongest, the healthiest they can be. And in this study, they're also showing that it's taking a toll on their brains, that they're saying that it's thinning part of the lining of their brain. So this is actually something that we need to look into in a physical sense as well. So I will send you that. I'll send you that link for sure. Yeah, it is. Somebody says I didn't see it, but it sounds super interesting. So good, so informative. Things that I'm seeing in the field, for lack of a better term, the results on these teens, their science is showing that this is a big deal. And so one of the things they say is 3 hours, more than 3 hours a day is what's really impacting their brains. So if you want just kind of a practical tip to keep it under 3 hours, and there's obviously a room for adjustment depending on what kind of screen time they're doing, whether it's reading, etc. So this is the teen suicide growth rate that we put together in ages 15 to 23 in the last 10 years. So it kind of was like up and down, and then it started to incline in 2010. And the correlation is that that's when the iPhone came. So it's one thing to have to go to a computer or even an iPad at home and get on all the apps and things like that. It kind of takes effort. It takes a specific location, but having an iPhone, having a smartphone in your pocket all day, every day, that's where the instant access to everything and everything's instant access to our kids is really taking a toll. So I have a question for everybody. What causes you anxiety on your device? So we're not talking about your kids. We're talking about you. Like, what kind of do a little quick inventory. I know there's a delay, so I'm going to take a minute. But if you can just write, like, maybe what causes stress or anxiety in you on your device. What causes anxiety? I'll share kind of what causes me anxiety as you guys are typing in your answers at the bottom. What causes me anxiety is feeling like people feel like they need to get a hold of me at all times, just feeling like I always have that have to get back to people or have to answer emails or just like I never get a break of just being in the moment. And so I guess notifications would be an issue in that sense. Instagram, somebody says Instagram gives me anxiety. Absolutely. Like, what do you feel like when you're scrolling? It's such an abundant of emotions. Like, that's cute. I want to buy that. I want my house like that. I feel so inspired by that. I feel so terrible about that. Oh my, there's all these like extreme emotions. And what I do want to say is the algorithms are real. I just saw a friend post who is an influencer on social media, and she was saying that she posted a selfie and nobody liked it. And she said, guys, is this algorithm thing right? Or do people just not like this selfie? And I saw the battle, like she shared on her Instagram feed, like, is this real? And I was like, yes, this is real. The algorithms, they hold back the likes and then they put it out when later. And so our teenagers, I say to teens, hey, like, what happens if people don't like your post right away? They're like, we delete them, So it's that constant feeling of seeking approval, needing to be better than. It's just a lot. It's a lot to handle. So some of the answers: Instagram, keeping up with all my emails. Yes. Believing the lie that everyone else has, yes, perfectly cleaned and organized houses. Yes. Oh my gosh, I know, right? I have 4 kids and I look at people's houses and I'm like, look how cute the background is. That's why right now my background is just the wall pretty much, because I don't want you to see how messy my house is. So funny. Okay, so now that we're thinking of all of these things that causes us stress, teens are on their phones on average of 9 hours a day. And you may be thinking, how is that even possible? It's because teens are on the main group chats happen at like 1 in the morning and nothing good. I remember when I was like 18, 19, I had a mentor that always told me nothing good happens after midnight. Well, for sure, nothing good on your phone happens after midnight. So put it in the other room, have a special spot to keep all the devices, even just turn them off, turn off, all that. Turning off the internet isn't really like the greatest problem solver, because there's hotspots, there's lots of ways to get internet and things like that. Do you notice a change in yours and your child's attitude when you take a week off? Maybe you haven't taken a week off, but maybe you've taken a day off. Do you notice a change in their attitude? I'd love to see your responses to this. But I'm going to keep moving forward, but please let me know. So a lot of parents think like, I can't take the phone away. We can't take a week off because my kid would lose their mind. I get it. I fully get it. And most of them would and do. But that's more reason to take time off, to, again, create those healthy boundaries and healthy relationships with our kids' devices. If you need help taking time off, weeding out some of these things, like please email me or contact me. There's a button at the very bottom to contact me. So I can help you through this, because sometimes you need support, because there can be an addiction, especially like to gaming and things like that. If our child is already stressed, their digital life can be an exaggerator. I do a lot of mental health training at schools, and I'm always saying, hey, there's a lot of pressure in 2019. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of things going on. If your child is going through finals, a breakup, something that's already very stressful, maybe there's some kind of challenge in their lives that puts them at an 8. Social media and their apps and being on their phones constantly is going to take them to a 15, a 20, a 25. It's an exaggerator to what's already going on in their lives. We didn't have to take, our social lives with us everywhere we went when we were teenagers. If we were having challenges, we were able to leave it at school, leave it on the field, whatever it was. Like, this is with them constantly. So some of the ways that the stressors get exaggerated are lack of sleep. As we know, sleep is key to our mental health. And if they're on their phones all night, it's not going to help. Addiction to post and share, just that constant feeling of having to post. Comparison, overexposure, adult content, negative content, sexual content, cyberbullying, fear of being documented. I was recently at a school where a student was having a really hard time in class emotionally. And the student next to him pulled out his phone and took a picture of it. And so that fear of, like, if I'm having a minute, is somebody going to share this post or this moment with the whole school or whatever it is? Excuse me. Peer pressure to post specific content. Aware of missing out. So these are all reasons why it exaggerates our child's stress and ours. So here's how to help. Here's the thing. I realize that I'm putting a lot out here that's negative. It's really the awareness side, but I'm always like, here's your tools. Here's how to help so that we can get to the other side of this, because I want our kids, I want the next generation that's going to be leading our world to be mentally healthy. So how to help? Educate on identity, right? So all of these kids, they don't need to be on these social media apps if their identity is struggling, if they don't know who they are, if they have the whole world telling them who they should be. That is a challenge, especially finding their identity in people they follow, YouTubers, and people that they identify with, telling them how they should think. Translating life lessons into the digital life. So like I mentioned earlier, it's all real life. So everything that you would teach them in real life, taking that over to the digital world, using it for good, noticing if there's things that are hurting you to not be around that, and that's all relationship and boundaries. Establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries. This is so important. When was the last time, and I started thinking about this as a mom myself, when was the last time I talked to my kids, when they're in 7th and 8th grade, about boundaries, or even younger, like how making sure people respect them and they're respecting themselves, asking people if they can hug them, things like that. Like, if they want to give someone a hug, just simply saying like, hug you instead of invading someone's space, all those like boundary type lessons need to be translated into the digital world. And what I mean by that is, when you have your accounts private, how to weed out people that follow you and you follow that aren't healthy, how to block, delete, put up all these safety nets to prevent hurtful content, how to maintain healthy relationships with what you're sharing and things like that. Again, if you need help, please ask me any questions along the way or email me, hello@letstalkteens. Take breaks, right? So I know people that do tech-free Tuesdays. Tech-free Thursdays. Recently, we're going to be having some content come out from an amazing counselor, Leanne from Nova Life Counseling. And she's going to be doing a piece, look out for it soon at letstalkteens.com, on how to not use the smartphone, the devices, as a reward or as a punishment, because it puts too much emphasis on that device in our lives. And so I think that's really good to kind of, if you're taking breaks, if you're taking a week, if you're taking a month off, to evaluate your relationship with that thing. And then when you take your breaks, be really practical and journal out every day. Like, do it with your child. Journal out how you're feeling, how hard it is, what you're missing. And then after you take the week off, let's just use that as an example. When you come back in, only introduce your phone time in the boundaries that you've established. So say you've decided that you're only going to do 3 hours of screen time every day, 1 hour of, social media, and you can do 2 apps, and they're this and this and that, so you make you've already gone through and realized that there's unhealthy relationships on there. So you've blocked them, or you've taken out that, or you've set up your private accounts. I've gone through all the things to set up a healthy relationship with apps in your phone, and you've made the changes. And then notice as you come back what triggers anxiety, what triggers depression, what triggers comparison, and write it down with your child. Go through those conversations to make sure that you're establishing healthy boundaries. So that's just a little bit of a tip. If you want help with that, I'm here for you. So let's talk about relationships as we begin to get to the end of this. Look for negative peer pressure. Relationships, just like you guys are involved, moms, dads, you're involved, aunts, uncles, guardians, grandparents, youth workers, you're involved in your kids' friends, right? We know who our friends are. We know who they're hanging out with. We know where they're spending the night on Friday night. Same thing with their digital relationships. Who follows them? Who are their favorite YouTubers? What kind of content are they putting out? Who's sliding into their DMs? Who's contacting them on Messenger? All of those things. Stay away from negative, hurtful, and abusive communities and relationships. This includes hashtags, so communicating how to stay in healthy communities, group chats, dating apps, etc. Be aware of stranger danger when it applies to the digital world. Set accounts to private and don't use real names. You can turn off commenting as well on Instagram. Don't have secret accounts such as ghost accounts, spam accounts, etc. When I say secret, I'm meaning secretive with their parents, with you guys. We want it to be all transparent and open and aware. Back in the day when I used to do some media and stuff on this stuff, like 5 years ago, I would talk about it, and I would get so much backlash from parents that say, you're invading their privacy. How could you do that and all that? But I would say this is called social media, not a diary. And so it's important even for them and for educational purposes to look in on them openly, honestly, and have these conversations. And if there's something that needs to be readjusted, you're able to talk it through with them. Don't share handles, Snapchat names with people they don't know well, or allow them to follow them. Look out for unhealthy expectations, like wanting people to get back to them right away. And sorry, my husband just walked in the door and made a ton of noise and the dogs barked. Oh, it's real life, people. Real life, right? I'm sure all of you guys are busy parents. You get it. So basically, like, some of this drama is being started online and taken into their face-to-face relationships. Be picky about who follows them. I mentioned that. If they are having dating relationships, and by the way, is anybody cool with that? Like, if people meeting people online, I get it, it's 2019. Maybe you are on dating apps, Bumble or whatnot, and you're cool with that. Like, that's fine if that works for your family. I would say if they continue to talk for 3 weeks, whether it's dating or friends, get on a FaceTime, a Skype or something with them just to say, hi, what's up? Make sure they're the people that they say they are, and they're not catfish, and that they're people you want your child to be talking to. Listen, they need us to share who we are, the mistakes and challenges, and I've been there moments, to be authentic with them so they will be truthful with us, right? So people are saying they're never going to tell me this, like they don't tell me anything. I get it. Like it's hard, right? Like teenagers don't want to share with their parents, but a good way to start is by just being honest with like, hey, I've had these moments, or, maybe it's not in the digital world, but you have a story that relates to what they're going through. It just makes us feel more human to them. They're more likely to be more honest with what's going on. This is one of the teenagers said to me, my mom only hears the buzzwords when I try to talk to her about how I feel, so I post on my spam account. So if they don't feel like they can come to us, and if we're going to be that like, oh my gosh, parent, then they will probably go to social media, to digital relationships to find what they need. So let's talk about some tools. My favorite one is the Screen Time app in the built-in iOS update for iPhones and all the Apple products. This is also a way to start that accountability with your child, set up the boundaries and do it with them maybe. So you can check in on Sunday nights and kind of like laugh at each other. Like, I can't believe you were on Netflix for 5 hours yesterday, or whatever it is. Like, what show were you streaming on your phone at work? But it's a great way to just make it more real, relatable, and understanding that we're all kind of dealing with this on one level or not. Also at the bottom is the content and privacy restrictions. Some resources, I'm going to email you resources, and you can email me back with specific needs. There's how-to videos, Let's Talk Teens. That's what letstalkteens.com is a resource. So I'm going to send you a device agreement that you can use it as a template, and change it for what works for you. And then there's other resources here as well. I have web safety on there. MobiKip is a good one for the Chromebook setup. And I can send these to you as well. And then I want to give you guys the opportunity to join our on-demand and video workshop. I'm giving you 50% off today. The link is at the bottom. And that's our video workshop that you can access anytime. And I'm constantly updating those with resources, tools, like everything you need is right there, and you can access it anytime you want. So 50% off. It's the link right below the webinar. Follow that. It's already set up for you guys. And then if you want me to come do a live event for you, I would love to do that as well, for parents or for schools, organizations, etc. So what do we do? These are tips and FYIs that I'll put in the email. So now what? What are we going to do? What are we going to do with this information? Well, the first thing that I recommend is evaluate your child's mental and emotional digital well-being. You can use the student self-evaluation and the springboard discussion questions within the on-demand workshop if you're like, how do I even start this? It's in that workshop as a resource for you, gives you lots of questions to get you going. And then after that, discuss with the other parent and establish family standards and boundaries. Like, put it in writing, use that contract that I'm sending you, that I'm emailing you. If you're not together with the other parent, I still recommend calling a family meeting. I get it. It's so hard to do that, but it's also really, really hard to help your child stay digitally healthy if the other parent isn't on board. 3, communicate and uphold the boundaries. This takes the emotion out of it. So use that contract, communicate it with your child. And then last, accountability. Use the tools, discussion questions, and check in regularly. Do it randomly so that they don't know it's coming, and all of that. So I just had this saying, like, just say yes to the flip phone. It's all in regards to when your child is ready, when they're showing responsibility, when the education is happening, and you're not just giving them the keys to the car and saying good luck, but they first learn to drive and keep themselves safe, and they're demonstrating that to show that they can handle it. So why don't you go ahead and add in some questions as I share a little bit about what I would love to do with you. I'm going to be looking down and seeing what the questions are. It can be on anything that we chatted about today. And as they start to roll in, if you'd like me to come do a live interactive workshop with your students where we talk about empathy and relationships and boundaries, and then I give lots of tools and they do exercises, and it's really all about removing the smoke screen of digital life and real life. It's all the same. If you would like me to come, I would love to be with you. So please just email me or follow the link at the very bottom of the screen. So I'd love to be with you and do that. And then also, like I said, I've got the digital well-being workshop webinar that's on demand. And what I mean by that, it's a video, it's already recorded, and you can go back to it, access it anytime. I go through the different apps. There's tons of worksheets and tools. There's I go in there every time I update any information, that's so it stays current. And today is a 50% off code for you to follow down below, the links down below if you'd like access to that with all of that information. So it's really practical. It goes step by step through like how to set things up and what you need to know about YouTube and Instagram, and there's a list of all the apps and things like that. And then also like how to get going with education so that you feel like your child is equipped to handle the digital world. Okay, so questions. Any questions? I get a lot. When is a good time to give my child a smartphone? I don't think that they need access to the world really ever. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, there's a lot of great tools and things, and I know there's a lot of pressure to get a smartphone, but 14, 15, but again, it's where your child is at. I definitely don't think a middle schooler or a 10-year-old needs a smartphone. I think there's lots of other options out there for that, like the Gizmo if they're little. There's also another one that's coming out that's just texting and talking. So there's other options. Another question is when my child's been bugging me about getting Snapchat, like how old do they need to be? Snapchat honestly is a deep well, and there's no way to monitor it because each of the apps that are out there have to give license to the tools to be able to monitor it. So obviously like things like people like Snapchat or apps like Snapchat, they don't want to be monitored. And so it's a real challenge. I would say 17 and above, which is what the rating is. But honestly, I think it's a real adult app. And Instagram also is really impacting our kids as well. So definitely the teen years, I would not give them Instagram before that, before 15-ish. Obviously, your kid, so you know how they would be able to handle all of that. Other questions? Well, I am so glad that you all joined me today. Like truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for coming. You made my day so much better. And I'm just kind of stalling because I want to make sure I can answer anybody's question, but I am really grateful that you came. And I'm hoping to do these more often because they're fun to interact. I am doing Facebook Lives every Tuesday at right now 1 p.m. But comment in there if 1 p.m. doesn't work, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If there's a better time that works for people, I'm totally cool with that. But I'm just loving this interaction. I love the questions. Again, email me hello@letstalkteens.com. You can get the code for 50% off to the virtual video workshop down there. If you want me to come live to your school or your event, contact me, hello@letstalkteens.com, or click the link. And thank you again. Have a great Tuesday. Keep the questions coming. I'll just text you back or email you back. And we'll see you next time. Have a good day, you guys. Happy